From the Mountaintops, Building Community Enterprise. It's a podcast where we explore the building blocks of community development. And today's episode, we're going to explore social entrepreneurship. Social entrepreneurship refers to the practice of addressing social challenges by using a business to redirect profits for a social issue. This can be done directly with cash proceeds or indirectly by allowing the company's personnel to dedicate time and resources to a social cause. Today, we have examples that cover that spectrum and also speak to the grant process associated with these efforts. Joining us is Mr. Dwayne Shaw, who runs Heads Up for Our Youth. I'm one of your hosts, Dr. Alan Letton, and our next host, Jamila Jones, will take over and introduce the rest of our guests. Jamila?
Jamila Jones with Innovative Community Solutions. I am happy to have examples of social entrepreneurship from the Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia. We'll be hearing from People of Worth, Stars That Shine, and Giving Graciously Foundation, and that is Zandria Lansdowne, Alicia Puller, and Shalane Clark.
So let's start off with the first question. Why don't you give us a quick overview of each one of your organizations and how you fit into this model of social entrepreneurship?
I'm Z with People of Worth, and pretty much what we do is we supply food to everyone, the low income and those who are just struggling. We supply classes. We have a free grocery store and clothing shop, pretty much.
I'm Shalane Clark with Graciously Giving Foundation. I am the director and the founder of that foundation. What we do is we have a life enrichment program that offers free professional childcare to individuals who are going through a crisis at the time. That crisis could be leaving an abusive relationship, trying to start out on their own, but needing that professional childcare while they obtain work, while they obtain school. People who are going back to school, we give those vouchers to them as well. People who are newly moved into our county who are trying to establish roots, we give those vouchers out as well. We also do a host of other things like Kids Community Fun Day, pool party for back to school, where we give out book bags and we do a fun activity with the kids like swimming as well.
I'm Dwayne Shaw, Executive Director for Heads Up for Our Youth. Also an entrepreneur, do real estate and own a few barbershops in the Guilford County area. And in the barbershop, we noticed that prices are going up. And sometimes a haircut for a young man or a child might be $30. But the thing is, the parent might have 3 children. That's $90. And so with us seeing this, we wanted to figure out how could we take some of those revenues and give back to people such as a single family, a single mother, or a single father. So what we decided to do was to open up our barbershop once a month to allow young people to come in and get free haircuts and tutorials on how to have healthy grooming practices. And also we want to give back because during back to school times, that's a huge financial burden on the community. So we started giving out book bags and school supplies as well. So that's one of the things that we do, and we've seen a whole lot of benefit from doing it, not just from the aspect of us benefiting with a nice philanthropic footprint in the community, but also just the impact that it's having on the community as a whole.
I'm Alicia Puller. I'm founder, executive director of Stars That Shine here in the Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia. And we work with girls ages 11 to 18 on empowerment, education, and leadership. We do summer programs, after school programs, weekend programs. And then one of our biggest programs, which is a give back, is we provide feminine hygiene products to all of our intermediate, middle, and high school girls, along with any families in need in the community. And one of the things, so I know a lot of organizations do book bags for back to school. One of the things that we do for back to school is we provide girls with feminine hygiene products, leggings, a pair of underwear, and wipes, shampoo, conditioner, just so they can keep in their locker in case there's ever an accident in school.
Since we're all in the Appalachian region, and the conference will be focused on businesses, not only Black businesses, but Black businesses and businesses in rural Appalachia. I was wondering, as a nonprofit in rural Appalachia, what unique challenges or opportunities have you encountered, and what's your approach to serving the community in light of those challenges and opportunities?
I have a lot of challenges. I work in an organizational world where there are not many people of my color that have food pantries. And it was really hard for us when we first started out because we offer classes like in banking and parenting and counseling, and nobody wanted to donate to us. So we had to go out and find our own funds, our own grants, take money out of our pockets, hit all the local churches. That was a true challenge for us. We've been in business for almost 4 years now, and it took us 2 years to get our name out there. And that was really a true challenge for us because the same things that everybody else is getting, it wasn't offered to us.
Just listening to you all, and so I do a lot of work with other social entrepreneurship programs. If you think about in West Virginia, we all know Cofield, right? Where they take out doing a number of things from solar to, but they're working with people recovery. That is their social enterprise. So it's a very, think about it, a high level kind of activity. There's a group called Sage Water, which is just outside of Huntington, where they're working with neurodiverse populations. But you all are talking about bread and butter issues within the community. You're getting haircuts, you're talking about getting feminine hygiene. What do you think there's that difference between what most people do on the social enterprise at a big level and what I'm hearing us do in a community level? Why do you think there's that difference?
We have a very unique experience in the United States as a community. And I feel like some people take it for granted that, with so much less, you wouldn't even believe the impact of a haircut or the feminine material that somebody might need. They just automatically assume that we have it. But a lot of times we don't. And then another thing that we see, some people may feel like their child looks good as long as they have the haircut and the sneakers, they're fine. But they don't have they don't care much about the educational piece as far as the child being prepared. And that's one of the things we want to tackle, because a lot of times our children don't thrive because they don't have the essential tools necessary to even start off on the right foot. So that's why it's important that you look good. This helps with self-esteem. It reduces people from bullying and talking about you having and not having. Having school supplies that you might need, just so when a teacher starts off saying, does everybody have a number 2 pencil? Normally, the child that doesn't have it or has to borrow it gets a stigma placed on them for not being prepared, and it carries along with them throughout their educational career. And that's one of the things we want to tackle and start off early. So a lot of people might think that's small, but for us in our community, I believe it's key. Having our youth start off with the essential things that they need just to be able to compete.
Yeah.
Right. And I was going to say too, I believe what I see is pride. Sometimes people are too prideful to take help. They're too prideful to say, I really need this resource. I really need you in my community. I really need what you're giving. A lot of people are so prideful, and it's hard sometimes to be able to even push your good gifts, your good things onto them. I can clearly see when my children come into daycare, they don't have the proper clothing. They don't have jackets. They don't have socks. They're not dressed for the weather. And when I'm trying to go into our funding and give these things to them, that their pride won't allow them to accept it. So it's one issue that I do see as well in the community. And the other thing, when you talked about what type of adversity do we see? The adversity for me is being in a rural area and not being developed in the areas that we should be developed in. So a lot of property is already gone. When we're looking to expand, when we're looking to, go higher, we can't find property. We can't find a building, can't find land.
I agree. That is definitely a challenge here, finding property and then also the transportation. And back to what Dwayne said about feeling good, we didn't start providing like shampoo, conditioner, the lip gloss, like things like that until the summer before. But we've noticed, like with school, them going to school looking better than what they did a year ago, or being able to wash their hair more often, having some of the smell good like lotions from Bath and Body Works has definitely helped their self-esteem and that educational piece of really starting to learn and feel better about themselves and being able to concentrate on the education.
Can I just say too, I'm sorry, But what they're saying, like I spend a lot of time, the school system here in Berkeley, Jefferson, and Morgan counties call me almost daily. And we have a program where we go in and we do the girls' hair before school starts, or for the children that have hair like mine, take them out and we go get their hair braided. And we teach them how to take care of their hair and themselves, because a lot of our children are being suspended because they're wearing hats, they're wearing hoodies. Those are not allowed. And the school systems feel bad putting them out, but they have to follow the rules. So that's the calls I get a lot of. I spend most of my day in between there and the courthouse. But yeah, it's a self-esteem thing from the people in my area too.
I'm going to ask you all a question, and it's actually got two parts. I'd like to hear everybody on this. First of all, did you even know you were a social entrepreneur? Did you even know what that concept was? And knowing that, one critical elements of doing that is having sustainability, right? Because that's the key to being able to do this without having to always go out and chase dollars. So did you know, and how are you doing that to make sure it stays sustainable?
I will say I did not know that about our organization. Definitely, it may be, I won't say not knowing, but not thinking about it and not considering it that. And then sustainability, we are 5 years old. We started in the pandemic. And I always felt like if we were able to sustain during the pandemic, we should be able to sustain longer and through a lot of challenges. But I feel like chasing the dollar is something that, whether it's grant writing, fundraising, going to donors, and not just monetary, we also like in kind and volunteer. I feel like it's a never ending. And because we are in an area that we are growing, but we're still rural. There are many organizations, but not a ton of people that have money and time to donate. So I do think with sustainability, like for us, trying to navigate making partnerships with Procter and Gamble for like feminine hygiene products, working with other partner organizations to kind of, this is what they're doing. Let's either help out here or they can start taking our girls in this instance. And I know one of the things Z said about doing their hair, I know that that's something that some of the girls that we have in group in the school system, especially our intermediate, they would definitely benefit from that. And having someone come in and do their hair or just kind of teach them how. And we're talking about West Virginia. We do work with a lot of foster girls as well. So we're looking at a state that has over 6,000 youth in foster care. And especially our area, a lot of them are us or biracial, and they are not in a home when it comes to hair. And even like boys getting their hair cut, it's completely different. So having that, and I think us working together in this community helps us sustain each other.
So anybody else, how many of you all knew you were a social enterprise?
So it was news to me. I am a retired nurse. No idea what I was getting myself into. I'm a Christian, so who he calls, he equips. I'm going off of what the Lord has ordained me to do, what He's commissioned me to do, and making those vital connections and networking into the community is so important. And I look up to my sisters, and they have those type of networkers, and they have those type of fundings, and they can ask for those type of grants, and they get awarded them. And I'm clapping for them. Trust me, I am. But we're not at that level yet. We aspire to be at that level, but we're not at that level yet. And it always plagues our mind about sustainability. But my trust is in the Lord that He will sustain us. We've been in business now for 8 years, and so I'm giving it all to Him.
Good.
Awesome.
All right.
I didn't know that I was in anything, this was put on my plate by God Himself when I was laying in a hospital bed on life support. And He said, when I get you up, this is what I want you to do. And so I feel like I was almost force fed into it. And He just kept giving me the grant money and giving me the people to put me where I needed to go. And we moved from 4 different stores, just building bigger, 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 bigger. We went from serving 23 people a month to 2,557 people a month. I'm talking people from every background, from my neighborhood, from the neighborhood across town, from the projects. Everybody is in need right now. on some level.
Mm.
Everybody was taking those classes trying to figure out how to make this chicken leg last for 3 meals instead of just one meal, and just how to make things stretch. I had no
Yeah.
idea what I was getting into. And I have to change with the times because I lost a lot of grant money this year. I didn't get the grant money that I had last year. I had a whole bunch of grant money. I could do all sorts of things. I actually bought things like small buses so I could get those people who are coming out of jail jobs. And we got moving trucks so we can get those people that are coming out of rehab, helping people move. And, do anything we can to upbuild the community. Whatever you could think of, we done thought of. And we're out there, we're doing it. We have a small daycare center for emergency drop-off services for parents whose kids are sick, but I just got to go to work today because I can't just miss one more day, sort of thing. So, yeah, I didn't know what we were doing. And I don't know about the rest of them, but I'm just going day by day with it at this point because it grew bigger much faster than my brain could ever even consume.
Some key insights, and I appreciate you for sharing that and being authentic, all of you, and how you came to start your enterprises, what really called you. It's all very passionate for the community, and I hear a lot of faith-based themes in there too that really resonates with me. Based on your experience and your insights, what other advice could you offer to other social enterprises that maybe want to make an impact in their community? I know you mentioned some funding challenges. What would you say to someone who kind of would make a difference if they were just starting today?
My advice is to always connect with something that you resonate with. Again, like I said, I'm a retired nurse, so I've always been around people. I've always been helping people, whether that was changing their diapers, whether that was feeding them, whether that was helping them walk, whether that was building relationships with their loved ones, being in direct peer-to-peer communications, things like that. So you always want to get involved with something that is close and near and dear to your heart. I wouldn't suggest someone to involve with something that they don't have a passion for, that they know nothing about. Always read about things. We can always study about things, but have a little knowledge, have a little compassion about things, and then get educated, educated about what you want to do. Also, I would say become wise in your money, become a wise steward with your money, because we're all self-funded. We all started off self-funded, and some of us are still on that level of self-funding. So, everything you get, you're not going to spend, you're going to save.
Yeah, that's true.
Agreed. I would say, playing off what Shalyn said, is the passion, but always remembering your why. So sustainability, it gets funding. Sometimes it's not always promising, but remembering your why, I would tell anyone starting out, is just remembering this is why you're doing this and what the benefit of the community and your clients are, and kind of keep pushing.
Yeah.
I got to agree with them because people of worth, like weird name, right? Because when I started having children back in the early 90s and I had to go to food pantries, they give you that box with crunchy peanut butter and I don't know, a bag of dry beans and some cereal that nobody eats, but no milk to go with it. There's no real meals. It's just this random stuff they put in this box and say, be happy. I felt like I was nothing. Young mother, 5 kids, year apart from each other, felt like I was nothing. And I always said, if I could ever get on my feet again, I'm going to give people back their self-worth. And so when I did, that's what I did. People of worth, because you're worth it. And that's why we do a little bit of everything, because it's not just the food. It's not just the classes. It's your soul. It's your family. It's everything about you that makes you who you are, that you're worth it.
Yeah.
So, Dwayne, you want to take the final word on this?
Well, yeah, I wanted to add on to the social entrepreneurship. For us, it was a part of our business plan because we were taking a barbershop, a small community barbershop, and having the idea to go into a commercial space, which was going to raise the rents, from something like $900 a month to $3,000 a month. And then it was like, so your price point was going to be high, which was going to affect, the consumer, right? So it's like, how do you take some of that money and give back? It was automatic, like, you got to give some of this back some way or another. And one of the important things was barbershops everywhere in Greensboro is a developed area. So there's a lot of competition. So what we believe and what we seem to be very helpful for us is people know where we stand when it comes to the community, where other barbershops, you're just getting a haircut. It's not just a haircut for us. And so this allows us to sustain, our popularity in the community, the support that we get. And it proves that we're genuine, not just after the money, but we're actually thinking about where those dollars are and how can we reallocate those to help, in underserved communities.
I want to thank you all for joining us in this conversation. This was great. I want to encourage anyone who hears this that on April 28th from 9:30 to 5 o'clock, we will be having a conference that talks about this and a couple of other things in more detail. Scan the QR code that you'll see here in a minute, and we look forward to seeing you. And again, you all, thank you. I appreciate you being here.
Good night.
Thank you.